If Social Security was a paycheck, it would be the kind that smiles at you while quietly bouncing. Yeah, that's the uncomfortable truth we're starting with today. Because somewhere along the way, a lot of people were sold a comforting bedtime story. Work hard, pay in, retire, and Social Security will take care of the rest. Sounds neat, sounds safe, sounds like a financial hug. But here's the problem: real life is more expensive than that story ever planned for. Welcome back to the channel, where we talk about money the way it actually behaves, not the way it's described in pamphlets. Today's conversation matters, especially if retirement feels far away, confusing, or like something future you will magically figure out. Social Security was never designed to be the whole meal. It's more like a side dish, useful, helpful, but deeply disappointing if you expected steak. Costs rise, purchasing power shrinks, and timelines change, while many people are still planning their entire future around a system that's quietly straining under its own weight. And here's the twist most people miss. The biggest risk isn't that Social Security disappears overnight, it's that it exists just enough to make people complacent, comfortable enough to delay planning, familiar enough to trust blindly, predictable enough to underestimate how much you'll actually need. In this video, we're breaking down the forces behind that gap. Why the math doesn't math the way people assume, how longevity changes the equation, and what happens when inflation quietly eats retirement plans one grocery trip at a time. Stick with me, because by the end you'll see retirement planning with clearer eyes, not fearfully but strategically. If this kind of real-world financial clarity is what you're here for, hit that like button, subscribe, and let's navigate money smarter together. Social Security was never designed to fully replace your income. Social Security has one of the best branding jobs in history. The name alone sounds comforting, like a financial safety blanket that's quietly being folded just for you in retirement. But beneath that reassuring title is a reality that's far less cozy. Social Security was never meant to be your retirement paycheck. It was designed as a supplement, a financial side dish, not the main course. When the program was created in the 1930s, the idea was simple: provide older Americans with a basic income floor so they wouldn't fall into poverty. It was never intended to fund vacations, hobbies, healthcare surprises, or the modern cost of living. In fact, even today, Social Security replaces only about 30 to 40% of the average worker's pre-retirement income. That's not a retirement plan, that's a financial participation trophy. To put that into perspective, if you were earning $60,000 before retiring, Social Security might cover around $20,000 a year. That gap doesn't politely wait for you to fill it later. It shows up immediately in the form of rent or property taxes, groceries, insurance, utilities, and the occasional "why is everything suddenly expensive" moment at the checkout line. And here's where the sarcasm earns its keep. Many people plan their entire retirement around a program that openly tells you in plain numbers that it won't be enough. It's like buying a bicycle and assuming it'll eventually turn into a car if you pedal hard enough. Admirable effort, wrong vehicle. The problem isn't that Social Security is broken, the problem is expectations. Too many people assume it will maintain their lifestyle, when in reality it was built to prevent absolute financial collapse. It's a safety net, not a trampoline. Understanding this early changes everything. It reframes retirement from a passive waiting game into an active planning process. Once you accept that Social Security is a baseline, not a bonus, you start asking smarter questions. What fills the gap? How do I create income beyond it? What happens if costs rise faster than benefits? This mindset shift is crucial because the earlier you recognize Social Security's limits, the more control you gain over your financial future. And control, not blind hope, is what actually makes retirement sustainable. Rising healthcare costs will eat a huge chunk of your check. Social Security looks decent on paper until healthcare shows up like an uninvited guest who eats everything in the fridge and still asks for dessert. One of the biggest reasons Social Security won't be enough is that it was never designed to keep up with the real cost of staying alive and healthy in retirement. Let's start with the uncomfortable truth. Healthcare gets more expensive the older you get, not cheaper. Medicare helps, but it does not cover everything. Premiums, deductibles, co-pays, prescription drugs, dental care, vision, hearing aids, long-term care, those bills don't politely wait their turn. They stack up fast. Very fast. According to recent estimates, the average retired couple may need hundreds of thousands of dollars just to cover healthcare costs throughout retirement. That's not luxury care. That's basic, please don't bankrupt us medical spending. Now compare that to the average Social Security benefit, which often barely covers rent, utilities, and groceries. Healthcare doesn't fit neatly into that math. It crashes the calculator. Think of Social Security like a life jacket. It helps you float, but it was never meant to carry luggage, groceries, and a hospital bill at the same time. Healthcare costs are the luggage, heavy, unavoidable, and always increasing in weight. What makes this even trickier is inflation in healthcare specifically. Medical costs historically rise faster than general inflation, so while Social Security benefits may get modest cost of living adjustments, healthcare expenses often sprint ahead. It's like trying to catch a speeding bus while wearing flip-flops. You're moving, but not fast enough. And let's talk prescriptions. Many retirees take multiple medications, some for life. Even with insurance, monthly drug costs can rival a car payment. Miss one refill and the consequences are real. This turns healthcare into a fixed expense that behaves like a wild variable. The uncomfortable conclusion is simple. Social Security wasn't built to absorb modern healthcare costs. It helps, but it doesn't protect. Without additional savings, insurance planning, or alternative income streams, healthcare alone can quietly drain what little financial cushion retirees have long before they run out of years. Social Security was never meant to be your only income. Here's the uncomfortable truth most retirement conversations politely step around. Social Security was never built to carry the full weight of your retirement, not emotionally, not practically, and definitely not financially. It was designed as a supplement, an assist, a financial backup singer, not the headlining act. Somewhere over the decades, that nuance quietly disappeared, and many people started planning as if Social Security would be the entire show. Think of it like a spare tire. It's there to help you keep moving when something goes wrong, but no one expects to drive cross-country on it. Social Security was meant to work alongside pensions, personal savings, investments, and employer benefits. The system assumes retirees arrive with multiple income streams. The problem is those other streams have been slowly drying up. Traditional pensions have gone the way of dial-up internet, wages haven't kept pace with housing, healthcare, or education costs, and for millions of workers, saving consistently over decades has felt like trying to fill a bucket with a crack in the bottom. By the time retirement arrives, Social Security gets promoted from supporting role to lead actor, even though the script was never written for that. When Social Security becomes the primary income source, the pressure is immediate. Every dollar has an assignment before it even hits the account. There's no margin for surprises, no buffer for emergencies, and very little flexibility. A car repair feels like a crisis. A medical bill becomes a financial puzzle. Even modest pleasures, traveling, hobbies, helping families start to feel indulgent instead of earned. That's when retirement quietly shifts tone. It stops being about freedom and starts being about endurance. Less, I finally have time, more, I hope nothing goes wrong this month. And that emotional weight catches many retirees off guard. This is why so many people feel blindsided. They worked for decades, paid into the system faithfully, followed the rules, and still feel unprepared. The issue isn't laziness or poor character, it's expectation. Social Security largely delivers what it promised. It just can't deliver what many people now need it to be. Cost of living is rising faster than benefits. Social Security was designed in an era when a gallon of gas didn't require a small loan and groceries didn't feel like a luxury purchase. Fast forward to today, and the math simply isn't mathing anymore. While Social Security benefits do receive cost of living adjustments, those increases often lag behind real-world expenses. Inflation doesn't politely wait for policy updates. It sprints ahead while benefits jog behind, waving apologetically. Housing is the biggest culprit. Rent and property taxes have climbed like they're training for a marathon, while Social Security increases show up more like a casual weekend stroll. Healthcare costs follow closely behind, quietly draining wallets through premiums, co-pays, and prescriptions that seem to cost more each year for no logical reason. Even everyday basics, utilities, food, transportation chip away at fixed incomes faster than expected. The problem isn't that Social Security provides nothing. The problem is that it was never designed to handle today's economy. It's like trying to power a modern smart home using wiring from the 1940s. Technically possible, but you're going to trip breakers constantly. Relying solely on Social Security in a high-cost environment means every price increase feels personal, every unexpected bill feels like an ambush, and financial flexibility disappears quickly. This gap between income and expenses forces many retirees to cut back, not on luxuries but on comfort. Fewer outings, delayed medical care, downsized living situations. The lifestyle gap widens quietly, and suddenly retirement feels less like a reward and more like a budgeting challenge that never ends. Taxes don't disappear in retirement. There's a quiet assumption many people carry into retirement. Once the alarm clock stops ringing, the tax bill quietly packs its bags and leaves too. That assumption is comforting. It's also wildly optimistic. Retirement doesn't come with a tax-free ribbon. In fact, for many retirees, taxes simply change outfits. Social Security benefits can still be taxed depending on your total income, and that surprises a lot of people. Up to 85% of those benefits can be taxable once certain income thresholds are crossed. Not rich people thresholds, regular middle-class thresholds. Then come the other income streams. Withdrawals from traditional IRAs, 401ks, pensions, part-time work, rental income, all of it stacks up. Each dollar added doesn't just boost cash flow, it can quietly push more of your Social Security into the taxable zone. It's like ordering one extra topping and suddenly paying for a deluxe pizza you never asked for. Many retirees plan their budgets based on gross income, not net income. On paper, the numbers look manageable. In reality, after federal taxes, possible state taxes, and Medicare-related deductions, the actual spending money is noticeably thinner. That gap between expectation and reality is where frustration sets in. This is what people mean when they talk about the retirement tax surprise. It's not that taxes are outrageous, it's that they're underestimated. A few percentage points here, a few deductions there, and suddenly the lifestyle you planned feels slightly out of reach. Not dramatic enough to panic, but uncomfortable enough to force compromises. The irony is that taxes often hit hardest when flexibility is lowest. When you're working, you can adjust hours, negotiate pay, or chase new income. In retirement, income sources are more rigid, and adjustments come with consequences. The takeaway isn't fear, it's awareness. Retirement doesn't eliminate taxes, it reshuffles them. Knowing that ahead of time allows better planning, smarter withdrawals, and fewer unpleasant surprises when the first tax bill arrives wearing a retirement badge. Relying only on Social Security removes control. Here's where everything comes together. Relying only on Social Security doesn't just limit income, it limits control. And control is the real currency of retirement. When Social Security is your only source of income, flexibility disappears. There's no dial to turn up when expenses rise, no lever to pull when inflation bites harder than expected. One income stream means one set of rules, one payment schedule, and one system you don't control. Social Security benefits are adjusted by policymakers, not personal needs. Cost of living increases sound reassuring, but they don't always match real-life expenses, especially healthcare, housing, and food. And future reforms, those decisions happen far from your living room, with no RSVP required from retirees. That lack of control creates stress. Not always loud stress, but quiet stress. The kind that makes people hesitate before spending on travel, helping family, or enjoying hobbies they waited decades to pursue. Every choice feels heavier because there's no backup plan waiting in the wings. Multiple income streams change that dynamic completely. Even modest supplemental income, investments, savings withdrawals, part-time consulting, rental income adds breathing room. It restores choice. It turns retirement from a rigid system into a flexible lifestyle. Think of Social Security as the floor. It keeps you from falling through. But no one dreams of living on the floor. Wealth, comfort, and peace of mind happen above it, where planning, personal effort, and intentional decisions create options. This is where retirement stops being something that happens to you and becomes something you actively shape. Control means deciding when to spend, when to save, when to help, and when to enjoy. It means reacting to life instead of bracing for it. Social Security was never meant to carry the entire weight of retirement. When it does, the weight shifts onto you. But when it's paired with personal planning, it becomes what it was always meant to be: a foundation, not a limitation. Thank you for watching all the way through. Today we broke down why relying solely on one system creates risk: shrinking purchasing power, rising costs, taxes, and loss of control. The goal wasn't fear, it was clarity, because clarity leads to better decisions. If this helped you see retirement differently, like the video, subscribe to Virtual Finance Navigator, turn on notification, and stay tuned for upcoming videos where we break down smart ways to build income, flexibility, and confidence beyond the basics. Retirement isn't about hoping, it's about planning.